We all have to contend with some kind of pain in our lives at one time or another. It could be from frequent backaches to headaches to arthritis. We've all probably had injury pain due to accidents, sprained limbs, broken bones, maybe worse. And we've all known someone, maybe ourselves, who dealt with the pain of cancer or other illnesses, sometimes ending in death, sometimes defeating the ailment. And pain can certainly come from our job places, our households, or even in our minds due to stress or worry or fear, maybe anxiety. Grief can be among the deepest pains, especially when we lose a spouse, or we lose a child, or we lose a parent, or a dear friend. Thus, no one can be totally pain-free in their lives. It's part of human nature. And yet, nothing can compare with the pain that is to come for someone who may spend eternity separated from God. And we call that permanent separation hell. And that's the pain that never ends with no relief in sight, ever. God became one of us to save us from that kind of pain. And that's why we call today Good Friday. Despite the horrendous pain that Jesus endured before the cross and on the cross, we cannot fathom the horrific torment that Jesus felt. The violent whippings that tore apart skin and muscles, the nails piercing his body, the wind being snuffed out of his lungs while hanging by nails on a cross. And yet he accepted it all and offered it all up for you and for me and for all humanity, past, present, future, done for one simple reason. Jesus loves us. And no one can love us more. The painful reality connected to that is that many people in the world today do not realize that kind of love. Either out of not knowing Jesus, or out of hatred for Jesus, or out of total indifference to Jesus. Many fail to appreciate such a monumental gift of love because they allow pain to swallow up their hope, letting darkness totally cloud their lives rather than letting the sunshine in. And we see the evidence of this painful reality in many ways. Emptier churches in many places around the world, broken families, abused people, suicide victims, and violent groups just for starters. And it makes many people shake their heads wondering, where is God in all of this mess? Why doesn't God just come in and sweep all this away with his power and his love? There are no easy answers to that question, except God's reply to our pain. And that reply is Jesus on the cross and rising from the tomb. It can be so difficult to believe it happened considering it was 2,000 years ago. We only have the Bible accounts to rely on and the church's authority as far as their word on it. No one actually saw Jesus rise from the dead, although they saw an empty tomb, and few saw him die the way that it was recorded in the Gospels. And yet, what would we have to look forward to if we didn't have such a belief? Pain would have no purpose. Life would have no meaning. Hope would be totally impossible without Jesus' answer of love on the cross. We may never know why painful things happen the way they do. However, we have our faith that says Jesus understands. And he understands us. And he's been there in worse ways than we've had to deal with. And he certainly knows all about carrying burdens of cross in life, all about being mistreated or mocked or rejected. He knows all about loss. And yet he also hopes that we'll always know that we are never, ever alone in whatever painful ordeals we happen to go through, wherever the pain hurts most. Because he gave us one another as church, to be signs of his loving presence. And Jesus still walks the streets with us. And he still dwells among us in our homes, in our hospitals, in our prisons, and in our workplaces. And come hell or high water, we must always trust that Jesus will pull us through. Do we truly believe in all of that? Or do we let our pain have the final say?